platform allows you to connect people, ideas, data, and solutions in a single collaborative and intuitive interactive environment. But what does that mean? It means that it allows you as the user to create a platform that empowers businesses and people to innovate in entirely new ways. It allows you to create products and services using virtual experiences. But what does that even mean? I said a whole bunch of words that probably went in the one ear and out the other, right? So let's speak more about it. And just to break it down, right? It also allows you to reduce IT overhead and allows your organization to scale as you change. But what does that even mean, right? So to break it down, you get roles, right, which consists of department or faculty dependent softwares or roles that gets very specific tasks done in those specific faculties, right? And in those roles, you get applications. Now, some of them are native applications, some of them work as a widget inside of a browser, right? And this together with the environment online is your platform. So you can collaborate with companies or employees in your own startup company or even with external members of a different company, right? So I'm going to touch base more on the roles and specific roles and applications. What does this whole thing mean for you, right? It basically means that you get a certain amount of roles with said applications. And these are the list of roles that you get. So you get, we call them based on trigrams. So the IFW, for example, is the 3D swimmer. You get the CSV, which is the collaborative industry innovator, the WXD, 3D creator, a whole bunch of codes. But to break it down and to understand what it actually means, it's actually giving you certain roles that you can assign to either a user group, which that user group can be, for instance, a department on its own. For example, you'd have a mechanical department and electrical department, and you get roles designed for electrical and roles designed for mechanical design. Similarly to managers, design engineers, the list goes on. Even your marketing managers can get specific roles, right? So let's go on. How does it work? So I'm going to talk and give you or show you a really good case study on how it works. You get a general workflow of a manager or engineer that needs to mark something up. Let's say, for example, you have a CAD file. You want to make changes to this, right? Or you're requesting a change from your employee based on this model. It needs something done to it, right? So you're requesting changes. The design engineer needs to do the work. So on the platform or the 3DEXPERIENCE SOLIDWORKS, you get these different features that allow you to work inside of SOLIDWORKS, but also on the cloud. So we're going to go through those steps, like for the design engineer, locking and revisioning, modifications to a specific component, which we will work on is the gripper, saving and making changes to top level, revisions and how revision control works, and then also finally uploading to the cloud. So we're going to start the process by going over what the manager would do, manager/engineer. So in their case, they would enter the platform like this. This is my personal space, right? It's like a collaborative space for my personal space. So you have the bookmark editor, right? The bookmark editor is like a folder structure, like Windows Explorer. I'm accessing the components inside of this specific assembly, right? And now I'm searching for a specific component. So let's say you know what that specific component is and you want to make a markup to it, right? So you're going to add that markup and you're going to, sorry, you're getting some background noise over there. So you're going to add markup to this specific file. This also opens the background over there, opens in the background. So here you have the component you are requesting the change to. So firstly, you can see over here, it's a gripper. The problem is there's no anti-slip. There's a sketch already, and we're going to add a new markup. So in this markup, you can go ahead and define the new markup and give it a name, anti-slip, for example. And in the description, give it more detail like anti-slip gripper or something like that, right? So there we successfully created the anti-slip gripper. So this is a markup where you can add stuff like text and annotations. So here we're going to add a text here. For example, call it make it closer to the center. So you're just saying that this specific sketch should be closer to the center of the gripper. And then you can also additionally add another markup here. We want to highlight where the change should be. The change should actually be in the center, where the gripper is, to add some anti-slip, right? So you can also change the colors of this specific markup. We're going to leave it a bold red for now. And then you're going to just add another text just to give it another defining feature, just to say what the change should be for this gripper. So you can go ahead and add a text there to say add anti-slip. So there we go. So now the note has been added. And just be aware that this is inside a 3D space. So if you rotate, you're actually rotating inside a 3D space. You can also move your notes like that and your annotations and your text closer or further away just to give them exactly and judge exactly where they should be. So when you view it in space, it stays just as it is over there. So that's the intention with the 3D markup. The engineer or the manager gives the said user or employee a task, and the then engineer or the design engineer rather goes ahead and creates that task. So you can also do this with tasks, right? But I'm going to speak more about that. It's called collaborative tasks a bit later. So in the next stage, which is that design engineer, he now goes or she now goes into the 3DEXPERIENCE SOLIDWORKS, right? This is similar to SOLIDWORKS, but with additional features that allow you to collaborate on the cloud, right? So over here, we have the PPG shredder. It is a crossover vehicle between a jet ski, a skateboard, and a tank used for recreational and utility purposes. The first thing you'll note the difference is on the right. This is the My section. It's called the 3DEXPERIENCE pane, right? It works in the same hierarchical system as the tree manager design tree on the left. Similarly, if you highlight something in the tree, it also highlights in the My section on the right to the files that are uploaded to the cloud. So you also get features like save locally, or you can save to the 3DEXPERIENCE platform on the cloud, right? So the first thing that we want to do here is we want to target the component that was requested by our manager. So we want to select that component and also the top level component to lock it. Why do we want to lock it? Well, locking it allows us to be the only person working on this file. The files that we lock cannot be modified by anyone else but us, right? Someone else can open it, like a colleague or our manager or whatever, but they can't make changes to it. They can only modify, they can't make changes. They can only view it in read-only mode, right? So the first thing we want to do is bump up the revision. Why? We want to have a revision different. So here we have revision A1. We want to bump it up to B1, right? The revision types or numbering can be changed. We're going to just add a comment here and say for the revision comment, something like anti-slip grippers. Here we go. And we'll revise this and bump this revision up by 1. And it'll also activate at the same time and be revision B1. So now we are ready to make those design changes based on the request. There was nothing very specific about how or what changes were required or how it should even look, right? So we have to basically go with what what is requested, right? So we're going to do the changes now. So now we're in the 3D Experience platform connected. We want to make the change. And in the new version of SOLIDWORKS 2023, it allows you to add single line fonts like this. And I'm going to edit the sketch. And I'm going to wrap this around the cylindrical face because in 2023, it allows for something like that, to scribe over the cylindrical face like that, and beautifully, right? They didn't specify how much close I need to be to the center. So I'm just moving it just a little bit closer to the center. Okay, the next target area is the center, where we need to add some protection, or i.e. Anti-slip. So I'm going to go ahead and use the ellipses. In 2023, they've add construction lines to ellipses. What does that mean? It gives you so much more control over those horizontals and verticals for the ellipses, meaning you don't need to add them. I'm going to add a constraint to make it coincident, and then start defining this by dimensions. I'm going to give it a global variable here. What is a global variable? So it's just a way to define a dimension and have it be based on a variable to be changed and controlled at any given time. And it would update based on the changes. So I'm adding a 25 here away from the origin, and then add material to this. So boss extrude for about 4. And it's important here to note that this should not be merged. Why? Because this body will act as a single body, which I can then manipulate, or in my case, I'm going to make a pattern of this, a circular pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and make a circular pattern over here. And it's important to create it with the bodies in mind. And then I could specify I need it to be, okay, 25 is fine, and 2 over here. And then add it to either a cylindrical face or edge, and make sure it's in the reverse direction. It's going to add another body to this, meaning I now have an extra body, 3 in total. Now in SOLIDWORKS 2023, it also allows you in the move or copy bodies to translate or rotate using functions, right? So you can use and define it with a specific expression. And there we go. So I've essentially moved this body based on the global variable divided by 2. So now I am ready to make more of an adjusting change. I'm actually now going to circular pattern this, and then once again, I'm going to do different types of patterning. So we're ready to create that circular pattern around this cylindrical face. I'm going to add the circular pattern, important for the 2 bodies, right? Cylindrical face or edge, and it's going to be 360 around, and it's going to fit about 7 in there. That should be good. So now that you have the circular pattern of those 2 bodies, it's coming out very nicely. All that's left is linear patterning. We need a surface or edge, and then we can define the bodies. You choose all the multi-select all the bodies, just like that. And then we define this now to be by the global variable for the spacing, and the instances to be defined by the global variable for instances. Why do you want to do that? Because it can easily be controlled and changed. And if you're happy, you can change it in the equations and it will update automatically. So you can see, let's say, for example, we change the spacing to about 9. How many fits in there? 9 fits perfectly in there. And instances, we can change it maybe to 7. Perfect. Fits very nice and neatly in there. We've added our anti-slip perfectly. And now we're ready for the next step, which would be uploading our files easily to the cloud now. So once the file has been modified, we can simply close, right, and save the changes. SOLIDWORKS will notice there's a change made to the file and ask you if you want to save it or not. And it'll also ask you if you want to rebuild the model, because the model has been changed and it needs to now be updated and rebuilt. So I'm saying yes over here inside of the main top level assembly. This component was actually used as a mirror on the left component, right? So all that's left now is to upload to the cloud. So I'll save with options, right? And what it also allows me to do is it allows me to unlock the file after I've saved it, leaving room for someone else to modify this file if need be. And I can also additionally up or bump the revision. So I've made a modification to the top level, and I can just go ahead and check a new revision this way as well and unlock the files after I said save and done. Your files are busy uploading to the cloud. They'll be unlocked once you're done, and the revision will be bumped up to B1 for the top level as well. So here we'll see that the revision has now been bumped up to the top level, and that specific component, we can also see the mirror. All that's left to do is share it now. This is the compass inside of the 3DEXPERIENCE pane. We're searching for CSV. One of the roles you get, by the way, it's the Collaborative Industry Innovator. And then we're looking for something for bookmark. There we go. So the bookmark editor, like I said before, is like a file explorer, but for your platform. Same like Windows, you can create folders and add your files to those folders, a folder structure, right? So now we're looking for that specific file we have. It is the PBG shredder over there. We're going to just move this a bit here. There we go. So what I want to do is actually share this with one of my colleagues that maybe he's on site. So I'm sharing this now. You can see it's unlocked and B1. So I'm sharing this now, my colleague, so he can read it and view it online on his browser, wherever he is. Maybe he's on site right now, needs to get the latest revision. And there he goes. File has been shared, he'll get the notification, and he'll easily be able to access the latest revision that had those changes to them. So I'm going to speak a bit more about the additional tools that you also get. That is 3DEXPERIENCE SOLIDWORKS Connected. Allows you to quickly upload your files and manage your CAD data online, right? So we have collaborative tasks first, right? So collaborative tasks I'm going to chat about, and I'm going to chat about visualize. I'm sure about 3D sculpture. It is an online widget tool that allows you to modify and create 3D CAD files as well online. I'll chat about 3D Learn, and then mysolidworks.com, which is a website. So first is the collaborative task. What is collaborative task? Well, the same thing we just did now can be achieved in a different manner, but just a bit more organized. Collaborative tasks allow you to do stuff like adding a user to a specific task, creating tasks, assigning a task to said user with specific deliverables. So how do you do it? The first thing you do is enter that CSV same role that I spoke about, and then access the application for collaborative tasks. To do that, you just click and drag into the window, right? You click and drag it, put it into your dashboard, just like that. Once it's done loading, you can just go and click the plus icon on the left there, or you can simply just start typing to create the task. From there, you have two options. You can either simply add a task, which will create the task with the specified name, in our case, new task, or you can add an open to allow for further editing of, for example, adding who the task will be assigned to, deliverables and expected time, etc. So additionally, you can add a description to the task to further explain what is requested of the task, maybe make a breakdown of points, bullet points, etc. You can also control the maturity state of the task. Maybe you were actually the design engineer and you created a task in work. You're busy with it. It's not something to do. You're actually busy with it. So you could do that. You have the to do in work and complete it, right? And you can also control and give it a specific time for this task. Then, after someone has been assigned to the task, whether it be you or someone else, the power of this is that you can also add attachments like PDFs, CSVs, etc. but you can also add CAD files. Now that is the deal breaker, because I mean, you can add those specific files that need to have those changes to it, allowing you to quickly communicate the deliverables of the task. See the DXFs, assemblies, parts, you name it, you can add them. Once you've finished with all the settings, you can simply click save from here, or whoever is assigned to that task will then get that notification, and they will be notified based on where you've placed it, is it to do, in work, or completed. So that's the task, collaborative task completed. So another thing to note is you also get visualize. So what is visualize? Visualize is actually a photo rendering software. It allows you to create photorealistic rendering images, videos, and basically scenes that you can create for your model, right? And what's great is you get this professional version, which means you get animations, rotating, you can get access to endless supply of libraries from the cloud. It works using appearances that you can simply just drag and drop on key points of the assembly that really define the model. Like this, for example, we're adding, copying appearances to different parts and simply dragging and dropping appearances just like that. Then you can even add stuff like textures, which will really give that texture feel, and then we can even bump up the texture to give that grainy look to some of the parts and components. Additionally, you can add cameras to really focus in on key points or views of the model to really bring out that depth into the model. You can even add stuff like depth of field to really bring out those key elements of your model and really look pleasing to the eye, for whether it was for yourself or whether it was to even start a business partner or getting a support from businesses. It's a really good way to start your business on the right track. Then you also have the cloud tools. Now, these are the CAD design tools that you can use on the cloud, on the go, wherever you are, and you can design on the cloud. This is not the SOLIDWORKS. This is the online tool. So the role is called 3D sculpture, right? But the application inside of the role is called X-shape. You can see it on the top left. And over here we have the design for the Nemo. How this was sped up a bit, but all this consists of is hand-drawn sketches to give a specific layout where you can add shapes in this application, translate and control them using things like multi-select and highlighting certain faces to really bring out the control of the shape and the defining manner in which you would like your design to be. You can use stuff like Sketch Quick Align to really align the model to the best shape and fit you want your model to be. You can really control points and really define the model's depth exactly how you want it to be. In SOLIDWORKS, this can be done, but not in the same time. You can control the model's look and feel just by moving things like your edges, your faces, and controlling how you want the look and feel to look. Maybe the goal is not accuracy, but the goal is look and aesthetics. So this is the perfect tool then for you. You could do that just like that. And right here, we're using the same tools that we've been using for like locking, reserving files, incorporating those files from the cloud into SOLIDWORKS connected, saving them and uploading them, and then incorporating them into your final model to really give that look and feel of what you are going for your final model. Really looking very nice. So then lastly, it's great and all, right? You get so many tools and is a wealth of knowledge. But the thing is, how do you even get started with that? How do you even know what to learn, and where do you even learn this, right? I mean, you get some guys that's like 20 years in the industry, some guys are 10 years in the industry, others are completely new to the software. And we target everyone, everyone who's new, anyone who's been in the business for 20, 30 years will still be able to learn something new. And how do you do that? You do that with a 3D Learn that you also get as a role. Well, the 3D Learn is actually an application. So you can search for it by going to the compass. This is inside of the browser. You just search for 3D Learn, and it's a widget, right? That's why it has an arrow. So once open, it'll open up in your dashboard. It'll take you to all the recommended content based on what you are learning. And then you can also access your recently accessed, keeping track of what you are learning. And then also you can favorite some of them. So we also have a full catalog for all of this, right? Which has over 214 learning modules, which you can get access to. So they work in different departments, and you can access type of different faculties like 3D molding creator, your draft sites, 3D Experience draft site, and the one that we're very familiar with or working with now, which is the 3D Experience for Collaborative Designer for SOLIDWORKS, as well as the one just from before, the 3D Sculpture. You also get your electrical schematic designer, for example, for those electrical departments. So if you are new to SOLIDWORKS, you can simply search for SOLIDWORKS and it'll give you a bunch of things. But the one you're actually looking for is the Perform as a 3D Experience SOLIDWORKS. This will take you from knowing nothing to knowing the best of SOLIDWORKS. It also comes with like 8 hours of content, right? The PLM role allows you to go through stuff like getting started, reviewing and releasing files, managing and modifying, releasing. And then your solid roles goes from sketching in 3D Experience SOLIDWORKS, parts and features, assemblies, drawings, configurations, and other tools. If you go in depth into the sketching, you can see you literally go from knowing nothing from planes to like sketch entities, trimming, and learning what relationships are even. So everything is there for you. It's literally a matter of the time to take to learn it. And you also get the SOLIDWORKS CAD role. This is the basics of the 3D Experience SOLIDWORKS role, where you can learn stuff based on getting started with parts, opening and saving your assemblies and drawing files, how to work with them. So it gives you a broad perspective of learning new content and learning the content that you will be able to do online on the cloud as well. Lastly, I'm going to speak about the SOLIDWORKS, mysolidworks.com. This is a web portal, right, that you can download CAD models, find more about training, get certified, and it also has a SOLIDWORKS community forum that you can access. You do need to create your account to access it, but it's very simple and easy. Once you do sign up with us and you also create your account, you can use the same details to sign in. So thank you very much for your time, guys.